Guns, threats, swapping vehicles, and high-speed country chases is what we will be looking at. Let's jump in head first into today's case study. The client, a larger corporation here in Colorado, hired us to help with a sticky situation. They had a high-level executive in the company that was terminated with cause, who in turn made some very disturbing remarks. His remarks led them to believe he may try to seek retribution on the company and potentially on other executives in the company. They knew he was an avid sportsman, a fisherman, a hunter, and had a ton of firearms at his disposal. This, tied with his military background and some run-ins with the law, led them to some great concern. Now, the assignment seemed simple enough: 24-hour surveillance on the ex-employee. The subject lived about an hour away from the company headquarters. If he was traveling in a direction where we believed he may be going to the company headquarters, we were to contact their security division and police. No engagement was to be made by us, but the client preferred us to have investigators with prior law enforcement, military, or security backgrounds who also were permitted or licensed to carry a firearm just in case. Now, if you've ever had 24-hour assignments, you know truly how difficult this can be. This was a 2-week assignment, 336 total hours to be covered just on scene. That does not account for travel time, report time, video time, and all the other logistics. That's not it. Hang on, it gets even better. Take that and multiply it by 2. Yep, the client wanted 2 investigators 24 hours a day for 2 weeks. Now, if that wasn't bad enough, we had 24 hours to deploy with 2, but they wanted 1 out right away. Now, if we do really quick math, that equals to 8 full-time surveillance investigators with specific qualifications and ready to deploy right now. This video is sponsored by OREP Insurance and Working PI Magazine. OREP is a leading provider of private investigator liability insurance. Visit orep.org for a quote today. We were able to get 2 people out right away, one of them being myself, so I was out working in the field and trying to find investigators to help. Now, at that particular time, I was not a member of our state association. However, I was on several national listservs for private investigators. I got on those listservs and I sent out a message stating we were hiring for this immediate need asset protection case. The response was overwhelming, folks. We got dozens of replies from qualified and the not so qualified, and we had to sort through them all to try to see who we could and who we could not use. Now, out of that first round, we identified about 5 investigators who could help us. However, not all of them were immediately available or able to commit to a 14 straight day case. This further complicated the entire process as the schedule started to have holes in the middle of it. Now, at this time, there was no licensing for private investigators in Colorado, and this case also involved security in a sense and had some rather tough qualifications. Given that, we contacted security companies to see if they could help. Unfortunately, none of them were able to step in and assist us on short notice, but a couple of them had some freelancers that they contracted with from time to time on special assignments, and they passed that information on to them, so we were able to gather a few more individuals from that. Next, we contacted a larger PI firm who was able to help us get the word out to more PIs as well, provided a couple of qualified investigators. We did it within 48 hours. We had 2 weeks fully scheduled, 24 hours a day, 2 investigators. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty details of the surveillance. The subject lived in a smaller town. His residence was in a regular residential neighborhood, nothing special. He and his wife resided there with a couple of their children. We started out with an investigator about 2 blocks away in each direction where we could observe all of the vehicles, the front door and the garage door of the residence. There was no need for excess video as we were more working to ensure he stayed home, or more importantly, stayed away from our client's facility. Some challenges we did have, though, included the fact that most security people do not have tinting on their windows. They do not have covert cameras. In fact, they don't even have surveillance cameras, and they have very little experience conducting mobile surveillance. To overcome this, we tried to pair each shift with a more experienced surveillance investigator and a newbie, with the experienced PI being the one in charge. Over the course of the 2 weeks, we had many hair-raising experiences where the subject left the residence, drive towards the major highways, loaded unknown items into his car, went to a sporting store, bought ammo, even bought a new gun, and went to the liquor store. We even had a time or two where we lost visual contact with him, which can lead to a lot of panic if you're not careful. As time went by, his routine became rather normal, even predictable, you could say. Just like with any surveillance, you just get more intel the longer you sit out there, and you start to know where your subject is going to go, how he's going to act, how he's going to drive, and you can start to understand what you might expect. Then day 14 comes along, a Saturday morning about 11 o'clock. We have only 13 more hours to go. We are ready to call it a wrap. Then here he comes out of the residence with 2 long cases that appear to be rifle cases. He loads them into a van. Then he and his wife and his kids load up several boxes into the van. Now he gets in the driver's seat, starts up to his vehicle, then flips a U-turn, and then heads away from the downtown area and off into the open countryside. At first we were relieved, but then he got out a few miles and turned, heading in the direction of the town where our client's headquarters were. After driving for what seemed like an eternity at very high rates of speed, about 20 minutes, he pulls off on a dirt road. We pulled back a little and watched from a distance with binoculars and saw him pull into the driveway of a farmhouse. He must be going there to visit some friends and hopefully do some target practicing or something like that. But wait, it gets even crazier. As we were watching in our binoculars, it looked like they were taking stuff out of the van and placing it into a large pickup, one of those super cab pickup trucks with a large rear back seat. Then we see the truck heading out of the driveway toward the dirt road, then right toward the road that we were sitting on. We then scramble. We get in our vehicles and we move to strategic locations where we can observe and hopefully pick up the tail from a distance. He gets out to the main road and starts heading in the same direction as previous toward the town where our client's headquarters were located. We pick up the follow at a good distance, but it looks like there are 3 adult male subjects in the pickup. The driver appeared to be our subject, but the family is not with him. We are like, oh my goodness, where are we going? What are they going to do? Now, as we approach the outskirts of the city, we get on the phone. We call the client's security team. At the same time, the subject took a highway that leads out of town, but we also know there are other back roads to the client's headquarters. The client asks us to go directly to the headquarters and set up stationary surveillance, as they call police, and put them on standby. So that's what we do. We hightail it over to the client's facility. We set up stationary surveillance and waited, and here comes a big truck. That could be them. It's the right color. Is that them? No, wait, false alarm. And here comes another truck. Here comes another big truck. Is it them? Nope, it's not them. That's pretty much how the end of our day ended up going. We just kept seeing one truck after another that could have been them, but it wasn't them. After reviewing all of the information on the case and our video footage, we realized his brother owned that farm. The pickup was our subject's pickup, and it appeared they were loading hunting equipment into the truck. We were so far apart, it was hard for us to tell exactly what was going on, but we saw those 2 rifle cases go from the van into the back of the truck. The client was ecstatic. The subject, as far as we knew, was never suspicious. When there was a possible threat, we handled it calmly and as planned.